Hello, everyone. Darkovika here, and we're back with our life. I keep calling this I think it's our story. I keep calling it. So it's our life. This is Cove's dad. I thought he might come back and okay. So if we remember, right, what happened in the last episode? Basically, Cove's dad is trying to bribe us into being friends with Cove with $20. Cove is missing. They've just moved into the house down the street. We've two moms, and I don't think we have a set personality just yet, actually. I was just kind of, I want to meet him, sure thing. I think we're kind of relaxed. I thought he might come back, and that's not important. I have to go. Thanks again, Sakura, so much. He jogged off down the street without another word. He decided to check the hills behind your house. Step 1. First sight. This is going to be adorable, by the way. I went ahead a little bit on my own, and this is so cute. The chirping of crickets in the tall grass greeted you, quiet and familiar. From the top of the hill, you could see the ocean. As you walked, you listened to the crash of the waves on the shore and the seagulls squawking as they settled down for the night. Let's see. We always love the ocean. It was so much fun. You love to hear stories about the sea, about the merfolk and sea serpents you imagined living far beneath the waves, or you didn't enjoy the beach all that much, especially the sand, we're going to go with this one. We like mermaids. Sometimes you could always convince yourself you had seen a flash of a mermaid's tail in the distance. You took in a deep breath. You wanted to try to relax and couldn't. You weren't sure what, but something told you weren't alone, so you glanced around. There was a boy sitting at the top of one hill, almost completely hidden within the long grass and white flowers surrounding him. His head was buried in his knees, staring ahead by himself. We have a slightly fussy Riley tonight. His head was buried in his knees, staring ahead by himself. For whatever reason, probably just that he wasn't paying attention, he hadn't noticed you yet. You watched him a minute longer, feeling a little bit like you'd found a deer in the wild, though deer didn't have, sad frowns. When I did this on my own, I pointed out his green hair, and then I remembered I have pink hair, so I really shouldn't be pointing out green hair. Let's go with sad frowns. But this new boy did. You wondered what could have upset him. After a few more seconds, he took a step forward, then another, and then he glanced your way. His aquamarine eyes reflected the light of the moon. You stopped, raising a hand to acknowledge him and show him you weren't scary. I might have to come back. Let's see. Hi, Hey, Space Cadet. Are you lost? Hi. Let's just say hi. With a start, he jumped to his feet, his hands balling into fists at his sides. He didn't say anything, just stared at you in a strange way. He'd been crying. There were traces of tears on his cheeks and his knees, soaking the hem of his shorts, and his eyes were still shining with a few more. You'd obviously caught him off guard. His pink cast seemed to glow in the twilight, though when he caught you staring at it, he hid his arm behind his back. Something the man earlier had said stuck out to you. Cove? Ah, eyes wide, he studied you. How'd you know that? We should say, I met your dad. Oh, so is this your hill? He gestured with his uninjured arm to the patch of grass surrounding you, his face falling at the prospect. I can leave if it is. I don't want to say yes, because he said he'll leave if it's our hill. We shook our head. While doing so, you also picked at a strand of lint on your leg. What a weird question to ask someone. Okay, that's not exactly what I wanted. Oh. He sat back down with a thump, resting his chin on his knees again. Curious about the strange new boy with the odd dad, you sat on the patch of grass next to him. The pure white flowers that covered this hill rocked back and forth gently as the stars twinkled above. The way they dotted the sky made them seem like flowers, too. The night wind was cool as it traveled over the ocean and up the hill, chasing away the heat from the afternoon sun. Let's see. Why are you here? A quiet hiccup escaped Cove as soon as you asked this question. Almost like they'd never stopped, his tears started up again with a vengeance. My parents. They don't want to live together with me anymore. The tears fell fast and heavy over his flushed cheeks, sticking in his dark lashes. My mom made my dad leave, and he took me with him, and now we have a house here, and I want to go home. The outburst took you off guard. By the time he was done wailing, Cove's chest was heaving with exhaustion. He sniffled and removed his glasses, wiping at his eyes with the back of his hand before he put them back on again. I hate this place. I want my real life back. I want my mom. Let's see. Your dad seems kinda nice. He slipped his hands underneath his glasses and pressed his fingers against his eyelids. Cove wound himself up again for another long crying fit. It must be hard for Cove living here without his mom, but at least he still had a parent who cared about him. But from far away, or from way off in the distance, you heard your parents. Sakura! Cove! Kids, where did you go? Cove looked at you, tears still clinging to his cheeks. Don't tell them we're here. I don't want to go back to that house. I want to go home. It'll be okay. You were struck by a sudden need to reassure Cove. It's not going to be all fun, but isn't he your family too? Yeah, I guess. Then you can count on him when you really, really need him. You shot him a grin and pushed yourself to your feet. Slowly, Cove stood up with you, still looking a little reluctant. His dad's voice rang out again. Cove, can you hear me? He looked toward the sound of his dad's voice, silent, then turned away while rubbing his not bandaged arm. Sorry, I still don't want to go. I'll wait with him. Yeah, I get it. You do? Before you could answer, you heard Cove's dad, even closer than before. There you are, bud. The trio of parents appeared over the curve of the hill. Instantly, all their eyes landed on you, and they rushed over. Both of your moms were at your side in a split second, faces filled with worry. Her pose, I swear to God, every time I see it makes me think she's pregnant. She's not. Like, whenever you see people who are pregnant in art, they have their hand over their stomach like this. So it confuses me every time I see her. It's just a weird side thing. Sakura, you're here after all. We had been at the park to check for Cove and then heard what happened earlier when you met the new neighbor. I thought you might have gone off farther away. Why is everyone acting like this is such a big thing? We're okay, don't worry. Thank God you're both fine. Were you two having fun out here? He looked over at Cove, who was wiggling against his dad's tight hug and pushing it at his arms. Yeah, I like him. The bottom one said, I'm gonna marry him. You nodded, smiling slightly. Finally letting go of his squirming, scowling son, Cove's dad turned to the three of you. Thanks very much for finding him. I really don't know this neighborhood. Good thing Sakura knows this area so well. Absolutely. We should be getting home now. It's been a long day for us all. Say goodbye, Cove. Bye. The two of them walked off into the darkness, heading toward the neighborhood. You watched Cove's bright pink cast until it disappeared. Tell you what, we'll have a proper playdate tomorrow, okay? Your new friend's dad wanted to bring him by to see you and Lizzie. How does that sound? Sounds like words. I don't think that's something I should say. Sure, can I show him my stuff? Of course. Then okay. Both of your moms laughed, the sounds overlapping into a warm, familiar chorus. Mommy put her arm around your shoulder and led you towards the path. Satisfied and more than a little ready to go to bed after your long, exciting day, you followed them home. Choose your feelings for Cove. This is how you feel towards Cove for this step. It can change in later steps. Okay, so this is adorable. We can basically decide what our interest is in him. We could say we are nervously indifferent, which I believe just changes the tone of like the things that she'll say to him. We could say we're fond of him. Now we have only just met him, so we could be fond of. I want her to be fond of him, even though we just met him, because he's this kid who needs help, and so we could say we're nervously fond of him. We're relaxed and indifferent. We could say we're relaxed and indifferent. I don't know what direct. I guess we could say we have a direct. It would be crazy if we just met him and we already have a crush on him. We could. Okay. So the reason I'm thinking about this, right, is this is going to change the tone of the story. If we start indifferent, we could move to fond in the next life stage, right? Because then that would be a slow burn, and there's nothing I love more than slow burn romance stories. So I think I'll say fond, and we'll just spend the first two life stages fond of Cove. Yeah! You know what? No, we're going to start with fond and then we'll go to crush. I think so. We'll be directly fond of him. Nervously fond, relaxed. Let's be direct. Well, let's be... No. We'll be directly fond of him. I don't know what that means, but that's what we are. We're directly fond. You won't be able to change this until step 2. Sure. At the breakfast table the next morning, you finished your food faster than usual. Your sister Lizzie had run out earlier to go play, but you'd stayed put. Today, just like your moms had promised, Cove was coming over to hang out. Excuse me. Excited to see your new friend again, Sakura? Mm-hmm. I like him. How sweet. I'm so happy he moved in. With that said, are you done with your breakfast? I don't know, am I? This seems so smart, Alec. This is like the awkward, I don't say anything, I only ever nod. So let's do this one. Yeah. With all the exasperation an 8-year-old can muster, you look at your empty cereal bowl, then at Mom. Okay, attitude kid, we see. Good job. He should be here soon. These facial expressions always make... I don't know if you guys remember the Sunshine Camp game where everyone's eyes were just like every facial expression, their eyes were closed. Cleanup began, and then on cue there was a knock. It was hesitant, like the person wasn't sure they were in the right place. Still loud though. We need a more obvious doorbell. I know. Sakura, could you get it? Wiggling out of your chair without really pushing it back, you made your way to the door. Hey, Darkovika. I forgot our last name is Darkovika. Thanks for having us. Mr. Holden, as your moms have called him, and his son were here. Cove looked different in the bright lighting of your living room, and when he wasn't crying. With his dad standing in front of him and Mom and Mommy behind you, you and Cove looked at each other. Pleased to see your new friend again, you smiled at Cove. He smiled back with some hesitation. Okay, so this will change certain, like, the way you look. I like a flower bead bracelet, but I also like a crystal bead bracelet. Let's say flower bead bracelet. That sounds cute. Mom, we're gonna go play in my room. Your guest blinked but didn't protest. Okay. Let us know if you need anything, you two. Have fun, kids. See you later, son. Play nice. You led him to your room, puffing out your chest a little at the sight of your treasures. There were lots of stuffed animals, a cool bed, a window to look out. It was a great room. You hadn't had anyone to show it to in a while, but you were really proud of it. He leaned in a little closer to one of your drawings on the wall. I like this. I do that. I don't. Oh my goodness. I drew that? Me too. Okay. You smiled at him. You were proud of that particular piece of art, and you were glad he noticed it. He turned to look around the room a little more, studying the books on your desk and the pictures on the walls. You were glad for the company. You hoped you liked your room. You started to feel a bit nervous. We're going to say we're glad for the company. It was nice to have someone new to play with. Then his eyes landed on the tiny box of beach things you'd collected, tucked away by your door. He took a step towards it before hesitating and pointing at it instead. What's that? A hoard of stuff I found on the beach. Do you have any driftwood in there? Dragging the box into the middle of the room, you and Cove flopped down next to it. I do, look! You gestured to a piece at the bottom, still covered with specks of sand. Neat. This is a good collection. You got the sense from the tone of his voice that he wasn't just saying it to be nice or to be like Shiloh. He actually meant it. I forgot about Shiloh. Shiloh? He's friends with my older sister, and he's supposed to hang out here this afternoon. Do I have to see him? You don't have to do anything, but he's gonna be here. Anyway, I found this gigantic shell here stuck to an even bigger rock. You pulled out seashell after seashell, explaining where you'd gotten each one and holding them up against the light. There were big ones, small ones, pink, purple, and orange. Most of them you washed off in the bathroom sink when you brought them home, cleaning off the sand. Over the past few years, you'd even learned some of their scientific names. The collection was so huge and varied that you had lots of funny stories to tell about them, or your voice faltered a bit, but you kept going as best as you could. I like this one. I tell stories like nobody's business. Apparently fascinated, either by the stories or by the shells themselves, Cove listened with what looked like the full force of his attention. Like when you almost got pinched by a hermit crab while searching for shells, and after watching him scuttle back into the ocean, you found another empty shell that was almost a twin to his home. It was a new experience to be the center of such dedicated focus, but Cove hadn't been mean to you, so you didn't mind. You smiled at him every now and then, while showing him your collection. Kids, come down to the living room. You could tell the idea was making him unhappy, but Mommy wasn't giving you much of a chance to hang around. Cove hadn't been like this, meeting you. You guessed it was because he thinks you found each other by accident, not that a parent made it happen. Mr. Holden must be right that telling Cove his dad was part of that would be a bad idea. Before you knew it, you'd both been escorted downstairs and deposited in the living room, ready for Shiloh's visit. The two of you sat side by side on the floor of your home's entryway. I brought the box of shells. I want to keep looking at them. Let's say great.
Bust it open. We can keep looking while we wait for Shiloh.
Cove reached in and pulled out a big orange shell. Oh. Like he hadn't spoken aloud yet, he turned to you and held it up, his eyes shining. I think this one is the best of them. I like a different one best. That's my favorite. Let's give it to him. Cove looked at you in surprise, his eyes going wide. Really?
Sure. You like it a lot, right?
Uh-huh. But I don't want to take it from you. It's okay. You got the impression he was hesitant to accept something because he didn't know you very well. You insisted?
No, it's free. It's okay for you.
You pushed the shell against Cove's chest, willing him to receive this present, but Cove firmly shook his head and kept his arms tightly at his sides. Okay, it was a battle you couldn't win, at least not today. Cove was your neighbor now. Maybe you could give it to him another time. The two of you were still sitting on the floor looking through your collection of beach things when the doorbell finally rang. Cove jumped, startled by the sound. Since the person hadn't knocked, you figured it was probably Shiloh. He knew where to look for that. Lizzie's friend? You nodded, but that didn't seem to make Cove feel better. It was already obvious that Cove didn't hide his feelings well. You could tell what he was thinking right away. This isn't a good idea.
It's just Shiloh, and where would you even go? He's at our only door, and if you go upstairs, he'll find you.
Cove glanced around the room, his eyes wide, and finally paused with his gaze locked onto the back of the house. I can go out the window. He was already walking towards it. Scrambling to think of something to say, you stepped forward, then paused. Do you want to break your other arm? Shiloh is the least scary person alive. Shiloh's gonna like you. Don't get hurt. I'll come with you. Good idea. Let's go. Shiloh is the least scary person alive. Every single bunny rabbit is scarier than Shiloh, but I don't want to see him. I don't know him. You comforted him. I get it. This isn't the best way ever to meet Shiloh. Sorry. Thanks. Shiloh poked his head into the living room. It was impossible to know for sure if he'd heard what you'd been saying or not, but you guessed that he had.
Hi, Sakura. And hi, Cove.
Cove shot you an uneasy glance. Hi.
I'm Shiloh. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah. You have a lot of freckles.
Right, I do. What are you guys doing?
We're looking at shells.
Awesome. Can I do it too?
Cove shrugged, then looked back at your box of beach findings. What about that one? The plan for the afternoon, at least as far as you were concerned, was to sit and look at the beach things some more. You weren't really in the mood to do much of anything else, especially if Cove was having fun.
This is a scallop shell I found last week. I kept it because it looks neat.
It's a pretty color, kind of like my cast. The beautiful glittering pink did look a little bit like the wrap around his arm.
Pink is a nice color.
Okay.
Is it your favorite?
Not really.
What is?
Maybe green or blue. It might be yellow.
Oh, those are all cool.
I guess. It's not. Oh my god, no, we're not going to say that. I like those colors too. Awesome. Both of them smiled. Like usual, it didn't take long for Shiloh to get fidgety. Lizzie was his favorite. Without her around, Shiloh didn't seem to know what to do with himself. And Cove wasn't like your sister. He wasn't that much like you either.
Is Lizzie coming back?
I don't know.
Aw, where'd she go? I think she's at the beach. Probably. Is she playing at her park?
We're going to give him like a nasally sound. Cove's eyes lit up at the mention of a park, and he looked towards you. There's a park?
Yeah, but it's old.
Can you show me?
I want to go.
He started getting up before you'd even answered, and Shiloh jumped up beside him in excitement.
Really? You do too, right, Sakura? The park is fun.
Let's say that.
Yeah, it's right at the beach, so there's lots of fun stuff to do. And lots of sand. It has a jungle gym and a bunch of swings.
I think those were both me.
That sounds like it could be cool. So are we gonna find Lizzie?
I don't know. I never really wanted to see her. I just want to check the park out. Adrift without any direction, Shiloh finally turned to you. Okay. He perked up. Both boys wanted to go. It was only fair. After getting permission from your moms, the three of you were ready to head out. I think we're going to end this episode here. And I will see you guys in the next episode well, the next episode will be Sims 4, but I hope you guys are enjoying this. I was hoping to get to the next segment of this game, which is really cool. They're the memories. I do have all of the DLC, but, I just wanted to mention again that the base game for this is actually free, which I think is super duper cool. But with the DLC, you get access to like a bunch of other memories that you can play through with Cove and they're basically just like different scenes and different experiences, and you guys just sort of go through, you know, different stuff, and it builds up Cove's character. Nothing is like something that's kind of unique and interesting about this is that nothing is required. Like, you get to pick and choose what you're interested in playing and seeing and doing with all the characters. So it's just unique, and so far it's like ridiculously cute, especially since most of the childhood, like, obviously there's no romance right now. You see like hints of it potentially happening in the future, but the entire point of this segment is just like them being kids, which I think is super duper cute and like just very, very sweet. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoy this, and yeah, bye.